Hey everyone, and welcome to 5 Star Podcast, where we talk about entrepreneurship, God, and whatever the hell else I want to talk about.
Perfect.
Today we have Shawanna Johnson here. Shawanna Johnson is a business owner and serial entrepreneur. She's been in the industry for over 15 years, takes pride in putting her business and family first. She started taking a step back from beauty industry to focus on her son's football career, and she is now a business coach. Her business specializes in brand management and beauty teachings. She is currently a beauty academy instructor where she has taught and assisted over 5,000 other entrepreneurs across the nation. And you can find her on Instagram at Pink Diamonds Beauty Co., where she specializes in helping entrepreneurs build a lucrative beauty business without the feeling of being overwhelmed. We all can relate to that. And today she is at 5 Star Salon Suites, located in Chandler, Arizona on West Chandler Boulevard Road in North Alma School, where we specialize in providing a creative space for elite entrepreneurs in the cosmetology industry to assist them in building their brand. Woo!
I love it. I'm so happy to be here.
This is our first interview where we will have all of these interviews pretty often, interviewing our brand ambassadors and other elite serial entrepreneurs in the Valley. So we're going to get into it.
Let's do it.
So we're both kind of nervous. So we're just going to take a deep breath. Okay, one more. Okay. So we're just going to talk and y'all are going to listen. So what motivated you to get into entrepreneurship?
My mom. So I grew up in a salon. My mother is a hairstylist. She has been for my entire life. And so I grew up in an environment of doing what we wanted pretty much. So, work hard, hustle hard, do what you have to do, but also go on vacation and also go to concerts and also go to Disneyland and things like that. And so as I got older and jumped into getting jobs, I would work a job and I would love the job. But the moment my mom says, hey, we're going out of town to go do this, I would request the time off and they would say, no, unfortunately you can't. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh my God, don't you hate that?
What do you
That's
mean?
actually my next question.
I'm like 14,
have you ever
15
worked a job
years old.
before?
I have, yes. I
never
worked
got
several
fired?
jobs.
A lot of entrepreneurs get fired from jobs.
I've never gotten fired.
Because we're just like, that's not for us.
I fired my job.
Okay,
I didn't get fired. I fired them, but I have quit several jobs because I got so used to like the freedom of entrepreneurship with my mom being an entrepreneur,
right,
that when I was told no, I couldn't take time off, I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, you can. I'm like, are you sure? No. Okay, so I quit. And when I get back from Disneyland, I'll go get another job because
they're recyclable.
Really,
because guess what? You're just a number to a job.
Yeah.
There can always be another use. You can quit, get a new one, but when it's your brand, that's something you can't quit from. And sometimes you got to work on vacation.
Of course. Yeah, I work on vacation sometimes. But it's more of a passion project. I'm a very, very hard worker. I'm an Aquarius. So we are multitaskers and we really pour our all in. And so it's like, it was very hard for me to find a job that appreciate what I was willing to do for said business. Mm-hmm. And I just realized like no business is ever going to appreciate me more than I'm going to appreciate me. And I've gotten the short end of the stick so many times. My last job, I kept having other people in the company like take my commissions. And I'm the youngest one, but I know what I'm doing. I'm running circles around people.
Female at work is like, we've all experienced that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And some of our viewers may not have, but my God, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus Christ, like it's almost like you feel like you're being almost attacked and sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And then when you when you're working a job before you're going into entrepreneurship, because sometimes you have to do both when you're first starting entrepreneurship. Sure. So when you're working a job and you're an African American, it's at times where you feel like you're like, whenever you do voice your opinion about something, or you're turning in your work, it's always double checked or questioned, or your judgment or your work. And it's almost exhausting.
Or they take pieces from it and they make it their own because some people are too timid to speak up for themselves. And that's another thing that I noticed. Like, or there's these preconceived notions about who we are coming in, right? Mm-hmm. So I went into this corporate job after leaving Mac. So I'm a makeup artist. I love everything hair. Again, I've been in the industry. So I'm coming in and it's a very office setting, very mundane, kind of low energy. I'm like full makeup, full beads, scarves, like doing all the things. And they're like, who's this bitch?
Who is this? Exactly.
And so, and not to mention, I'm bilingual. So a lot of clients that were coming in, I was close to Mexico. So like with a lot of money, they were coming to me. And I do.
Let me hear something.
No!
Let me hear a little, let me hear your accent. Roll the R. Do like a little R roll. No pressure.
Okay, so Español is mi primer lengua. So I speak Spanish. I learned how to read and write in Spanish before English. Before? I have not. Okay. Crazy enough. A lot of Hispanic friends, but no
guys.
No. Interesting. I know. Maybe we'll see.
I would like to say about that off camera. We'll see. Okay, let's get back on.
Okay, so we have these preconceived notions, right? So you come in, your hair is done, your makeup is done, your nails are done, you have on heels, and instantly it's ditzy. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. Why is she here? She must have a sugar daddy. She's just here to waste our time.
Oh my God.
And then when you come in and you're beautiful and you run circles around people, they don't understand why. And then
your nails are done. It's like my hair and nails can't be done. I'm smart and I also have great energy.
Because God forbid. And I don't have a limiting mindset where I feel like you're superior to me because I'm a black woman. Because I don't have that. I come from California. Like the sky is the limit where I come
Chicago.
From. Yeah.
Chicago is huge. So that's what prompted you to go into entrepreneurship, is just wanting to be in your own space and create.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that and then just my son. So I'm a single mom and my son was 5 years old at the time. And we've always done things together. We had movie nights and go eat every Friday after school. And I started to get depressed. The energy in the place was like bringing me down more and more energetically. And I just started feeling like I wasn't being authentic to who I am showing up. I would cry every day because I was like, I'm miserable, but I'm a single mom. So what else do I do? How else do I feed my kid? And I think the thought process of I'm stuck in this forever because I don't know how else to make this work. I freelance as a makeup artist. I do weddings on the weekend, cool, couple $1,000s here and there, but it's me and a kid in sports because he was already running track and playing football at the time.
Wow.
No help from his dad at all. So I'm like, I have to do what I have to do. And then one day he came to me and he's like, Mom, you're so sad all the time.
Oh my God.
He's like, I hate that you're sad. What's wrong? And I'm like, I'm not really happy, but I have to do what I have to do because this is our reality right now. And he's like, well, how can you get back to being happy again? Because it makes me sad seeing you sad.
Right.
And I was like, I have to quit my job. And he's like, I think you should at 5. I said, if I quit my job, things are not going to be the same anymore. We're not going to be able to do everything that we want to do. We're going to have to be in the house sometimes, like until I can figure it out. And he was like, I'm fine as long as I can get my mom back. Those were his exact words.
And probably keep playing sports.
Yeah. But even sports, like it was something financially, but sports are more of a time investment than a financial investment. So it takes nothing for me to like take you up the street to be at practice. You know what I mean?
Right.
Versus if you're used to us going to the movies all the time and going to amusement parks and going to do this and that, that's when the real money comes in.
It's not just about dropping them off. You want to be out there in those stands.
Oh, I've always been there.
Exactly.
Because I want to be like, we always have that feedback time to this day. We go to his games, we go to practices, we come back and that's why I love being a coach, because now I can look at things objectively and say, oh, I saw when that kid hit you this way. It's because you didn't realize he was doing this while you were doing that. And we sit like this and we have those conversations, and we always have.
And that's what gets your kids to the top.
It does.
It really does. Yeah. Because they're listening, and they also, another thing that's great about being a parent is, I'm not personally a parent, but what I've noticed is when you actually give your kids criticism, they become coachable players as they get older in adulthood, because they're used to people telling them what they could do better, and then they use those adjustments and then they succeed.
Yeah.
Instead of, you ever met a person where you kind of tell them like what they could be doing better and then they take offensive to it? And then they're just kind of like stuck in the same cycle, because it's almost like they don't want to accept that they did wrong in something or that they're bad in something. And they're more so looking to prove to you why they're right and you're wrong. So having that time with your son and being able to be in an entrepreneurship position where you can talk to him and walk him through how to be better at sports is huge. And the fact that you took that time to quit that job, you would not have been able to do that. Because
No.
a lot of moms that work a lot, that are single moms, I've noticed in the beauty industry, their kids suffer. You know what I'm saying? And they suffer emotionally, and they suffer just without having them around. But another topic is your kids are really proud of you when you're like happier and you're working towards your own goals as well. You know?
So let me backtrack to what you just said, because I can only like I have clients that are not Black, but I can relate to the Black experience the most, right? So how is it growing up? If you're a kid, stay in a child's place, right? Go in the room. There's no adults in here. You need to go do this. You need to go do that. And so we're growing up being told what to do. So then we never really develop our own beliefs.
Right.
Right. And so.
And that is part of Black culture. Because other cultures were not raised to stay in a child's place.
Right.
And it comes off as like that's not always parenting.
No, it's such a disservice.
It is, because what you're doing is not only are you minimizing that child's opinions, because maybe that child has something to say.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then you're also discouraging them as well. And that's going to go towards, as they get older, and they'll be scared. They'll feel like when they need to say something at work, that they shouldn't, because they're only in this position. Or when a wife is being mistreated by her husband, should she really say anything? You know what I'm saying? Like it goes so much further.
Absolutely.
And I feel like what you're doing as a mom, giving him a safe space to be vulnerable with you and being able to express his emotions is huge when he becomes an adult.
Exactly. And forming his own opinion. Like, it's okay for you to have an opinion. It's okay for you to be frustrated. It's okay for you to cry. Voice that. But let's figure out what the root of the problem is so we can navigate through it. That way, if that problem comes up again, now it's not shutting you down.
Exactly.
Instead, now you're like, I've been through this already. Let me keep going. That's how you succeed in life, right? And so it's what being a single mom made me a better coach, because let's say track, right? He runs track. He's a sprinter. He started at 5, very quick. If my son did not come in first place, because he's an overachiever, if he didn't come in first place, he would say, Mom, what do you think happened? In the beginning, it was always, you look back to see where everyone was. And you stopped yourself. You slow yourself down by looking to see how close people are to you when you're running a race of your own. You're not running a race as a collective. That's different when you're in a team sport, but I've always treated him as if it's you against you. No other stats matter. You're going out here to beat your time from last week, to PR is what they call it, like to beat your own personal record. Exactly. So pay attention to you. And when you get done, then you look back.
Right.
But he was the kid at school that would like run laps and lap the whole school and then come to the slowest kid and get them and like jog with them.
Oh.
And it's amazing, but it's a time and a place. So when you're competitive, bud, I'm going to need you to be the first.
Right.
And then look back and say, now, how can I help other people? And I have to remind myself of that sometimes as a coach. Like, I'm not going to just tell people things that I have no knowledge or experience in. I'm going to get to it first. I'm going to bump my head. I'm going to go through these cycles so that now I can look at you and say, it's because you look to your left and your right. You're not charging what you want to charge in your business because you're looking at someone that's up the street charging X amount of money. Yes. And then you form a belief. So now you feel like I'm inadequate. I'm never going to get to that amount. And that in itself discourages you, or you feel like, they're charging a little bit, so I'm just going to stick here so that we can stay competitive. But if you always look at it like you're running a race of your own, there is no comparison. And now the sky's the limit.
Let's touch on that. So, as a new entrepreneur myself and owning a salon suite, being a real estate agent, and being a short-term rental property manager for my own property, I have a lot going on.
And congratulations on all of that.
Much. And I just graduated college last month.
Oh,
I know.
Girl, we'll talk about that.
You know what? Let's say it. I'm 29. Yes, I am. I'm freaking proud of myself.
Yes.
I'm not going to sit here and be like ashamed of my age. Like,
no.
It took me so long to get here. And like, yeah, I'm 29.
Right.
29.
Fact.
And I'm fine.
Hey.
Okay. Would you date a man with kids, and would you consider them like part of your child? If let's say he was a great guy, all the boxes checked.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I feel like it's needed. I do feel like it takes a village to raise a child, but I also believe that it takes people who have the right mindset to help the child progress. Because sometimes a kid is not comfortable coming to you with certain things. So if I was another person that inserted myself into a healthy environment and your kid feels the need to come to me to talk about things that maybe the mom or dad shuts the kid down and they're not used to forming their own opinions because of that. So now you feel like, well, she's a safe space for me to go to and really talk these things through. Me and my son talk about everything.
And it's like, honestly, and we're going to go back to what I had to say about entrepreneurship and looking back when you're new in it. But let's stay here for now. So we've all dated men where we feel like they're not emotionally available. And I think we put a lot of blame on them. But we have to look at how they were raised. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they weren't provided that emotional space that you're building with your son. Because a lot of moms back in the day were entrepreneurs. They had to work. They had to work 12-hour shifts. They didn't have Instagram, TikTok, online services, and just the all-around encouragement to go out and be an entrepreneur so they can take the time to be a mom.
But
you know what I'm saying? So a
1000%, yeah.
A lot of the men that we're dating, a lot of the men that we come across, mothers work 12-hour shifts. So when they got home from work and maybe even night school, you know what I mean? They didn't have time to parent. And I feel like now we're in a time situation where entrepreneurship is huge.
Because entrepreneurs are figuring it out.
Entrepreneurs are figuring it out.
It's hard, everything, though. And it's like, okay, now what?
It's hard, though.
Because that was my mom. My mom to this day still says, I'm sorry that I couldn't be what you needed me to be because she worked. And I've always guilted her on, like, I played sports, and on the weekends, I'm looking at everyone else going home with their parents, but you're at the salon, and you never got to come watch me, and this and that. And I had to realize, like, we can all do what we can do.
We can all do what we only can do.
But the thing that takes you to the next level is, now what?
What do you mean by that?
Like, okay, I work my ass off. I'm exhausted at the end of the day. But I want this. I don't know what it looks like, but I want this. So now what? What is the bridge between saying, I know that this is something that's far-fetched for me, but I'm going after it anyway? The reason why people stunt their own growth is because they use those limitations to stop them in their tracks instead of saying, now what? I saw my dad abuse my mom, unfortunately. Now what? How do I do the inner work to figure out how that impacted me and how I can change so that I don't become the same husband? Otherwise, subconsciously, like, we keep the cycle going until someone says, now what? Let me be the one to change it.
How did you do the inner work to gain the encouragement to become an entrepreneur? Because sometimes when you come from a background that puts you where you see your parents fighting all the time, you know, because I come from divorced parents as well, so that really like affected me growing up. But man, my parents are some go-getters. Like they've been knocked down like 20 times, they got up 48. So it really they didn't really work as a couple, but they definitely worked as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm getting emotional.
Oh.
I'm getting emotional going into that because, you know, just growing up and seeing your parents at strife, it makes you feel like, okay, is this what adult life looks like? You know what I'm saying? You have this pre-notion in your mind about, is this what getting married looks like? Does it look like divorce? You know what I'm saying? And then when you want to go out and have courage and try to start your own business, when the first thing that you saw inside of the house failed, that's like kind of always in the back of your mind, like, can I do this? You know what I'm saying? So how did you get over, you know, how did you do the internal work to get to where you are today?
So, okay. So loaded. That was good. So my mom had me at 18. I had my son at 18.
Okay.
And so I always heard like, oh, you're going to be a statistic. You're going to be a baby mom. You're going to have all these kids. From my own dad. Love him to death.
Oh my God.
But he would say that to me. I didn't tell my dad I was pregnant. He didn't find out until I was 9 months. Because I just didn't want to hear the criticism that came with it.
And it's kind of scary to tell your dad you're pregnant. Like, it's just weird. Yeah. It's almost like...
Well, I just didn't want to hear the backlash at the end of the day. Because as much as I love my dad, it's like, you're not helping me through homework. You're not helping me to get through school. You're not helping me to progress in life. You're not paying a bill for me. None of the things. So while I love you for who you are, I don't really care about your opinion in this regard. Because you're not going to help me navigate through this either. And I say that respectfully because I love my father. Growing up, it was kind of like we all raised each other, having such young parents, right? But I just didn't need more criticism from people that I loved on top of me criticizing myself. I had been with my son's dad. We grew up together. We went to elementary and middle school together. I got pregnant in the 8th grade. I'm sorry. We started dating in the 8th grade. I got pregnant my senior year. I'm like, wait a minute.
I was like,
no. I was not. We were friends. Some girls have.
And that's okay. And they're go-getters.
Yeah. I was not, my mind was not on that at all. Not until like, I was still. And so what I realized when I had my son is part of the frustration with my mom is like my mom never really had a voice, and she kind of raised her parents to a degree. And so when you never form your own opinion, it's hard for you to look at what serves other people from their perception versus yours. So what I realized about my son very early on is that he's just like me. He's receptive to the things that I was receptive to. He's looking for things that I'm looking to. Like, I would clean my room and want my mom to see it because I wanted her to be proud of me, and I wanted to hear it, right? My son was the exact same way. To this day, he gets dressed and shows me what he's wearing. If it's going to a party or a football game, he's like, Mom, what do you think about this? And so I had to think, as a parent, what's going to serve him best? How can I support him best? And me supporting him meant showing up, even if financially I didn't have all the things. My mom grew up where a lot of people could not provide financially for her. So she became the type of parent that could provide financially for her kids by all means necessary. That means working, hustling, whatever the case may be. I'm going to give you guys everything that you need. I said, but it was what you thought I needed. It wasn't what I actually needed. And you never asked me what I actually needed.
Woo,
so I had to have that conversation with my son when that whole transition happened. What do you want from me? Mom, I want you to be home with me. Bet this is what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And in those moments where he's like, Mom, you're working a little bit too much and I want to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, cool. On the opposite end of it, I can go get another job and not be here every day. And he's like, go back to work, sis. Like, it's cool. You know what I mean? And so it was that. I feel like if we do a better job in any way of talking to the other person and actually listening to hear versus just to listen, to respond, because that's what most of us do, then we'll have much better relationships. So I had to know that it's going to make me taking a step back financially, but you could always make more money. You could never get more time. So if my son is saying, I need your time, Mom, I need you to support me in this, then I was going to do that because I know what it feels like to be a kid that's not given that. So I didn't know how it was going to turn out.
Okay.
But I just knew that I was giving him what he needed from me.
So your son really allowed you to do the internal work to motivate you to basically heal from your childhood.
Yeah. And not to mention, I had huge aspirations for myself. I never felt like anything was limited. Do I have moments of fear? Still, I have moments of fear. But it's like, I know that I wanted to be the example that you could be a single mom and still make it. And you don't have to deal with men that beat the shit out of you just because you need them to pay your bills as well. Like, I wanted to be the example. So even today, when I look at my little cousins, they're estheticians and they're nail technicians and a lot of them are in the industry and they're like, we're looking to you to help us navigate. I wanted to show them something different than what I seen a hustling mom, but my mom's always been a single mom. She's never been married. So I don't know what it's like to live in a household with a mom and a dad and what that dynamic looks like because it never happened.
Do you feel like being a hustler prevents you from building deep-rooted relationships? Because it's always been like a preconceived notion that hustler women have a hard time finding a man. And why do you think that is? Do you feel like, is it because she's working too hard or she's too focused on her businesses? Or do you feel like she maybe feels like she's too good to date the certain type of men that are around? Like an entrepreneur woman, I feel like it's hard because entrepreneurship is hard.
Yes.
And it's lonely.
Yes.
And it's quiet and it's dark sometimes. And it's scary. So I feel like it's hard for you to even look at another man when you're going through the building stage of entrepreneurship or another woman. Because not everybody is an entrepreneur. Right. Some people work 9 to 5.
Right.
Sometimes you can be free on a whole Tuesday and they're at work, or you're stuck at work till 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
Or on a Sunday, you're at work, So I feel like, do you feel like entrepreneurs should date entrepreneurs and 9-to-5 people should date 9-to-5 people?
1,000,000%.
That entrepreneurs should date other entrepreneurs?
I could never date somebody that worked a 9-to-5 job.
Wow. Is it the money?
It's everything.
Some 9-to-5 guys make money.
But you still have someone else to depend on you to pay your bills. So the hustle of it is different. I don't have anyone to pay my bills. So if I don't make the money, bills don't get paid. You can work up the corporate ladder inside of someone else's organization. But the moment that they come and say, yeah, bro, we don't need you no more, now you're at the bottom of the barrel.
But haven't you been in a place as an entrepreneur where you feel like, I wish I had a 9-to-5 sometimes? Because it's like, especially in the beginning stages.
I felt that way. I mean, I've been self-employed for 12 years. And since I've been in Arizona, I've car repoed. I got evicted when I first moved here, opened a salon, contractor screwed us over. I had someone steal an $11,000 makeup kit from me. That was the only way that I had to make money, again, as a single mom. Wow. And I was like, I need to go get a job. And I was like, I don't have a resume. I haven't updated a resume in so long. And day one, when they say, okay, come in this office, sit at this computer, and you're going to do this training, I'm going to walk up. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. Because what the fuck? Like, you want me to stare at this computer for 8 hours? Put me out of my misery. Well, I will stare at a screen. I will stare at a screen for 15 hours if it's for my benefit and my business and what I'm actually interested in.
So are you? So you're self-motivated, not money motivated?
No, but the money is a byproduct. So if you're motivated and your motivations are in the right place, going back to like the God likeness in men, I will be single for the rest of my life before I would ever date a man that doesn't put God first, because we're 3 parts. We're body, soul, spirit. Okay. So when you and your human element cannot make the right decisions, you have to be able to look to God and say, how do I handle this where I'm not responsive? The trauma responses don't come up and I treat her a certain type of way because I'm triggered by something that she said or she did, or while I'm still navigating through my own healing process, right?
Because God isn't triggered.
No.
And God also doesn't remember your past.
No.
That's something I've been learning about while I've been like reading the Bible. Like you may commit a sin and then feel bad about it the next week. God has already forgotten about that.
And you repent and you apologize, because building a relationship with God, I have to understand, is not all about religion. It's about constant becoming and becoming more like God and becoming who God was and who he wanted you to be. Jesus helped people who were in turmoil and having a hard time. He didn't go to the people who were already perfect and say, let me make you more perfect, because it doesn't exist, right?
Exactly.
So again, I have to deal with a man that understands what it's like to go pray through something before he responds to me and says something that we could never get through.
Do you feel like nowadays we're asking too much from men? Because it's like, just think about it. Like, I was thinking about this the other day while I was in a deep bathtub. Like, I was thinking, like, are we asking too much from men? Because think about it. Like, we're asking them to make over $200K a year. Okay? We're asking them to be Bible warriors. Okay, we're asking them to, look good all the time. We're asking them to be fit. We're asking them to have a 938,000 credit score. We're asking them to drive the newest car. They got to be childless. You know what I'm saying? And what else am I forgetting? They also got to know what they're doing, with your feelings and how they treat you and know how to talk to you. And now me, I must talk to her like God. Like, I feel like, are we asking too much from men, or are our standards changing with the rest of the world? Because before, this world is getting weird. You know what I'm saying? So you really need a man that's got God, financial security, and emotional maturity. You need him to have all the 3. It's not like back in the day with our grandfathers, where all they had to do was just bring home the check and they can sit on the couch and just drink a beer until the next day. Like, now women are asking men to basically, almost make 3 times as much money back then, and also be full-time, fathers as well. Back then, when our grandparents were raising our parents, dads were part-time dads and married women were single moms.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, do you think we're asking too much from men nowadays?
So
really think about that.
I've never been married. I've been engaged a couple times, but never married. So I don't have an expectation of a man at all. And I would never expect a man to provide for me what I couldn't provide for myself.
Okay.
And I feel like relationships are supposed to come together and be synergistic. Like we're supposed to come together where we can both bring something to the table. So like, how could I support you? In my last relationship, there were moments where he had a 9 to 5. I was self-employed, and his friends would get in his head like, nah, she out with other dudes and she's cheating. And I'm like, bro, I'm at home writing an email sequence because I have a funnel or a workshop that I have to do, and this has to happen, but you don't understand it. And so this is how I broke it down to him one day. I said, for you to do your job, let's walk through your day. How does it look? You wake up in the morning, you check your iPad. Your iPad is telling you what you need to do for the day. In order for you to have that job to go do, you have people in the background that marketed to get the client, had a consultation to secure the client, sent out an invoice for the client to pay, and then took the time to send you the information so you can wake up with a job on your iPad. So those are 5 people who were in the background doing things before you ever even got a text message in the morning. I have to be all 5 of those people, right?
Exactly.
Then you go do the job, and then you submit whatever you submit to whoever gets it, and now another person gets it, and now another person has to make sure the money goes through, and the check clears, and the payroll goes out. I have employees. I have all the things. So I am all of those people. So you can never compare what someone telling you to do something and you spending your 8 hours. It's not to discount or discredit your hard work, but it's to say you're one person versus somebody who has to be 10 people. So now I have to be 10 people, and then I have to explain to you how I'm actually doing these things so you don't feel like I'm cheating on you when I barely have time to eat throughout the day. I need someone that understands that.
Ooh, I see.
So if you don't understand what that looks like, I can never explain it to you.
But what if he was a real good man, Savannah? You know?
He could be somebody else's good man.
He's a good man.
What is a good man?
A good man to me?
Yeah.
A good man to me would be someone who treats me nice, talks to me like God, and makes me feel like, and encourages me. And that's it.
See, and I think that's why, and this could be a good and a bad thing for me. I am very feminine.
Talk to me like God would. If I heard God's voice.
Well, just so talk to me with love and treat me with love and compassion at all times. However, I'm a woman that's very feminine with very masculine energy. So I don't care about you telling me that I look pretty every day and, oh my God, you this and you that. Like, I don't care. Let's get together and have a strategy session about how we're going to make this money and the difference that we're going to make and how we're going to go sit on the beach in Cabo for the next 2 weeks. Like, I don't give a shit about nothing else because that's how you show me you love me. A man taking out my trash means more to me than him complimenting me.
Okay.
So that's why love languages are huge.
What's your love language?
And finding out acts of service.
Okay.
I would rather you do, so I don't need you to buy me anything. It's great. Those are all great byproducts, but that's not how you show me that you love me, which is why I had a hard time with, like, let's say my mom. My mom will buy me anything. You know what I mean? But it's like, but I want you to come spend the time or, you know, do things like, she just came recently and put some walls on the shelves in my office, you know. Thank you. I appreciate that more than a Louis Vuitton bag if that's what you wanted to, you know what I mean? Because it's how I internalize things. So we are so, like I said, quick to just respond that we don't look at who the person is and what they need. And if we are equally yoked based on that. So to say, do we require too much from a man? I don't feel like I do because I know that it's hard. I know that life is hard and I know that hustling is hard. And I also know that when you look at other people's perception of who you are, or you feel like you come into a situation with, again, all these preconceived notions, it's like you have this impossible checklist, and that in itself is pressure. So how do I work toward these things when I'm coming in with the impossible standard already set for me? I'm not taking care of a man. So you can't tell me like I'm laying on my brother's couch and I'm just in between jobs right now and I'm this and I'm that. It's like, okay, now what? Are you working towards something that's promising? How many calls have you made? Do you have leads in your business? What is your closing rate? I go into that part of business because if I don't make the money, my bills don't get paid and my baby doesn't eat dinner tonight.
Men want to date other female entrepreneurs because in our mind, our day never ends.
Mhm.
So sometimes we may bring that home when he's already off work and he don't want to talk about work. So whenever like I haven't dated someone yet because I'm really, now that I know like what I'm looking for, I'm very like selective on who I spend my time with. And I've honestly just been enjoying my time with like myself and God. And I have this business I'm trying to like run. And I'm putting brand ambassadors in here. So I really want to focus on building the brand before I'm building something with someone else. So, but anyway, like I was saying, I'm in a position where I feel like men may be a little bit intimidated by female entrepreneurs because maybe unless they're other entrepreneurs themselves, if they're 9 to 5 guys, they don't want to come home and talk about work.
That's what ended my last relationship.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't talk about work with men because I understand that. And then for part of my life, I did work in the nightlife. So I know like the conversations that men want to have and I know how to like cater to that. And that's why I'm starting this business, because if I don't really have my like man to talk to, I need like brand ambassadors and a facility full of people where there are like-minded individuals around me. So I can bounce ideas off of. So I've only been in Arizona for 5 years, so I'm trying to get my name out there to meet people like yourself, other known entrepreneurs in the beauty industry and in real estate, so we can kind of form an elite hub where we can all work together towards our own individual goals. Honestly. And we don't have to know all each other's business. But we can always bounce ideas off each other or ask questions, me as a new entrepreneur, you as a seasoned one. That's why I'm so grateful that you took the time to come here and visit with me. I really enjoyed all of our conversation. Like, honestly, I really have. I was really nervous about this since this is my first, podcast video, 5-star podcast. Check it out. This is the first video. So we are having so much fun where we talk about entrepreneurship, God, and whatever the hell else I want to talk about. Period. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure that you like it and subscribe to our brand new channel. You can also find my salon suite on Instagram and TikTok at 5, the number, Star, STAR, Salon Suites. And that is all one word. See ya. Yay. I love that. Okay. This was fun.